The Miami housing market is shifting down and shifting down hard, with values officially now dropping on a year-over-year basis, and they could drop by even more over the next 12 months. In this video, I'm going to give you guys all the data on the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach housing market so you can understand just how much prices will drop. With the big news being that home values in South Florida are now officially dropping year over year. They went down minus 1.1% from April 2024 to April 2025. So this is big news, everyone. A lot of people said that Miami would never correct. A lot of people said that prices would keep going up here. Now they're going down. And the reason that these values are officially dropping and will drop by more into the future is because there has been an utter collapse in home buyer demand in South Florida. Put simply, there's no more buyers in this market. All those buyers who came in during the pandemic, they are now gone. Those buyers from New York, those buyers from Venezuela, they are no longer active. And the result is that the local population in Miami, who's completely priced out, is now being asked to shoulder the demand burden, and they're simply not able to afford it. As you can see, home sale activity in the 3-county Miami metro has plummeted by 50% from its pandemic peak. Home sale transactions are now down about 25% from their long-term norm, indicating just how low this buyer demand is right now. And the main reason why buyer demand is so low in Miami and why prices are increasingly likely to keep dropping over the next 12 months is because the market's just so overvalued. Prices in the Miami housing market are anywhere from 20 to 30% overvalued from their long-run norms, and those levels of overvaluation are not sustainable when the buyer demand is that low. So now you're seeing the natural correction start to play out in the market, especially with the inventory levels starting to really skyrocket. So I want you to take a look at this, everyone. We're looking at the zip code level home price growth data down in Miami-Dade County, and we're looking at it month over month. So we're looking at how values changed from March 2025 to April 2025, according to data from Zillow. And you can see the values are dropping everywhere. Yes, they're dropping by more towards the beach where the condos are, but they're also dropping in Pembroke Pines. They're also dropping in Hialeah. They're even now starting to drop in Coral Gables. And you can see these zip code declines are happening everywhere. You go up to Broward County, they're happening in Pompano Beach, they're happening in Deerfield Beach, they're happening in Boynton Beach, they're happening up in West Palm Beach. The values are dropping everywhere in South Florida. And in some cases, we're seeing monthly declines of 1.3% or 0.8%. I mean, folks, 1% decline in a month, like we're seeing in Boynton Beach, that annualizes to a 12% decline over a full year. So these value declines are starting to get real. And, some people aren't noticing them yet in Miami because the year over year statistics are still up in some markets, in some neighborhoods, but month over month is down pretty much everywhere. Year over year is going to be down everywhere soon too. And this can't come soon enough for local South Florida home buyers, because this is a market that just got so expensive during the pandemic. I mean, this was the primary pandemic boom area, South Florida. All the people moved in from New York in New Jersey, in Illinois, in Connecticut, and even California. They were starting to come from California and buy up homes and condos in Miami. And, Miami is a very cyclical market. It's very historically volatile. It's prone to these big booms and busts. A big boom and bust actually happened in the late 2000s. The prices went way up around 05, 06, and then they went down 50% from 2007 to 2012. Not a lot of people remember that about Miami's housing market, but it crashed 50% in the last downturn. So there's a lot of historical volatility that suggests that prices could drop by a lot more into the future. But we do have some regional variations. So let's look at county by county. South Florida, it's a big area. We have 3 main counties: Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade. What's happening in these different counties? Well, month over month, prices dropped 0.61% in Palm Beach, which annualizes to over 7.2% in a year. Meanwhile, in Broward County, values dropped 0.54% on the month from March to April. That annualizes to around 6.3% in a year. While in Miami-Dade, values dropped 0.47% on the month, which annualizes to around 0.58% in a year. So we have monthly declines happening everywhere here in South Florida. Like I said before, the annual declines are minus 3.4%, minus 1.8%, and Miami-Dade is still up annually, but will be down annually probably in the next month. So I just want you guys to remember this, the difference between year over year and month over month. Year over year is kind of lagging what we're seeing in real time in the market right now. You're going to want to check out that month over month data, not only for your county, but your zip code. It's showing that a correction is playing out in full force. And why is this correction playing out? Well, it's due to inventory. In Palm Beach County, there's now 14,700 homes, houses, condos on the market. That's the highest level of inventory that we have seen in the last 10 years. And if we look at monthly, you can see the inventory just keeps going up every single month. You know, it normally peaks in February. No, we're still going up even though we're now into April. The busy season in Palm Beach is over. That hasn't stopped the inventory from continuing to pile up. Meanwhile, in Broward County, there's now almost 18,000 homes on the market. That is by far the highest level of supply we've seen going back to 2017, according to this data on Reventure app. Whew, you could see monthly inventory in Broward County has gone up every month now for almost 2 years in a row. It's just not stopping. Every single month, there's more supply on the market in Broward County. And Miami-Dade is even starting to get there too. You can see the inventory in Miami-Dade is lagging the other two counties a little bit, but it's catching up fast. There's now 19,300 homes on the market in Miami-Dade, which is now causing prices to start to drop. And I want to just give you guys a bit of an anecdotal indicator of this slowdown in South Florida. You know, why is this happening? I'm giving you guys all the data, right? Prices dropping month over month, year over year, inventory is exploding. But, you know, fundamentally, why is this happening? You know, a lot of people were banking on Miami becoming the next New York, the next financial center, the next tech hub. That was all the talk during the pandemic, that Miami was going to become this next big thing. And you saw some companies move there. But what some of the companies are now doing who moved to Miami is they're now leaving Miami. This is really, really interesting. They thought when they moved there in 2021 and 2022 that this was a vibrant finance and tech ecosystem. And when they got there, they realized that it's really not. Miami is still a far way off from being, you know, what I would call a developed economy. And the result is firms are leaving. And the big story here was Andreessen Horowitz, which is a big Silicon Valley VC. They reportedly stopped using their Miami office after just 2 years, with the VC firm leaving the office because staff didn't come in enough, in a signal that the tech and crypto migration to Miami in recent years may have been short-lived. Apparently, Andreessen Horowitz ditched its Miami office just 2 years into a 5-year lease. You know, so what we have a story here of in South Florida is the classic boomer bust cycle in real estate, right? We had low interest rates during the pandemic. We had some legitimate migration to Miami during the pandemic, but then the investors, the speculators, the Airbnb operators, they ran with that and tried to make Miami into something it wasn't. And what they tried to make Miami into was the next New York or LA. And so Miami became priced like New York and LA. And the reality is it's not even close to those two cities yet in terms of its underlying economy, in terms of the underlying income levels of the people that live there. And so a natural correction is now playing out in the market. And I think prices could drop anywhere from 20 to 30% over the next several years, because that's how overvalued Miami is right now. You can see the South Florida housing market is 23% overvalued according to data on Reventure app. Typical home and condo value of $488,000 across the entire area. Fair home value of $396,000. So this suggests major downside. You can see the overvaluation rate stayed stuck around 23-26% the last 4 years. And you can see actually that this was a market that until 2020 was fairly valued and was actually undervalued after the last crash. So what you can do on Reventure app, everyone, is you can use this over-under valuation metric to help you figure out when the right time to buy is and how at risk your market is of facing price declines. What I would encourage you guys to do right now is type in your area in Florida and access this over-under valuation rate for your zip code under a premium plan. The more that the market is overvalued, the greater the risk. The more that it's undervalued, you know, the less the risk. Interestingly, some of these markets now in Miami Beach are undervalued compared to the long-term norms. I think we're going to still see some price declines in Miami Beach, but you could see this market actually looks pretty affordable to its long-run norms. Obviously, there's issues with HOA fees, which you got to watch out for, but overall, you would rather buy in a market that's 10% undervalued than a market that's 53% overvalued. So make sure to check this data for your area in Florida under a premium plan for $39 a month at Reventure app. This is data that you have to know as a prospective buyer, investor, or seller in 2025. So go there right now and check it out.